And the struggle is within us. Now let me share with you a letter that came this week. The three parties mentioned in the letter here tonight. Now a dream has only one simple main point. Any attempt to give all the little things meaning is stupid. You get away completely from the main point. This dream is a dream within a dream, therefore there are two main points, only because the dream within a dream. Were it not so, it only would have one main point. And this young lady writes me. She says, I haven't told this to my mother. I haven't told it to anyone. I'm writing to you in the hope it has meaning. I can't see any significance to it, but I must tell it. It was so vivid. But in my dream, my mother wanted to comb and brush my hair and style it. Because I wanted to comb my own hair and style my own hair, and it differed from her concept of what I should have. And then when she went off to get the comb and the brush, I simply hid from her, and I went into a closet. The closet, instead of being a closet, was a small room. And there, reclining on an upholstered chair in a very comfortable manner, was my teacher. He appears so often to me in my dreams. He is a kind, wonderful, comforting teacher, very helpful, very gentle, and very good as a teacher. He heard every word of the argument, but he said nothing. He was perfectly silent, but I knew he had heard everything. Then I sat next to him, and I took some oil and I rubbed it into my skull, the left side of my head. And then my mother came with a comb and a brush, and she found me. When she came in, I took more oil and put it into the right side of my skull, so she could not comb and brush my hair or style it. And she was furious. I mean, it was violent. And I said to her, you cannot stop me. It is my life. It is my right. And you can't stop me. Then the scene changed, and I'm floating. Well, I am floating in the air, but I'm not alone. There are others with me, and we're over the ocean. And we look down, and I hear a lady's voice, and the lady's voice is describing the ships as they go by. And each ship as it goes by is an improvement over the last ship in the way that it cuts the water. Each one was a great improvement in structure. And then I found myself standing on the deck of the ship. And then here is my mother and my stepfather standing on the deck with me. At that very moment, the memory of what had transpired, that violent argument, returned, and I thought that was last night's dream. For here now was a dream within a dream. For I think this is a reality now. I am on a ship, and it's real. And what I now remember concerning the argument, to me, seems to have been a dream. So it was a dream within a dream. That was the first part of the dream. But then there were two separate parts. At that moment, here you are approaching, walking on the water. And you walk up to the ship on the water. You still are standing on the water. And you take my stepfather's hand. You take my mother's hand. You shake it. She bends over and she kisses you on the cheek. And my father blushes, or rather he's embarrassed, and he says, sorry about that, Beatrice. And then I turned and took her hand. She held it to her chest. And then she said, I knew at that moment you were my teacher. You were the one reclining on that chair. You had always been my teacher. But I didn't know it until now. There you were, my teacher always. And then you whispered into my ear. And then you said to me, do not call me homely. And then, at that moment, you started off. And as you started off walking on the water, you turned around and turned to my parents. And you said to them, last night, she heard her music. She heard the depth of her music. At that moment, I awoke. Now she said, I don't quite understand it. If there's any meaning to it, tell it to me. But please believe me, I have never thought you homely. Well, thank you. That is irrelevant. What the father said about, sorry about that, is a sort of British expression that you apologize in a strange little way by saying, sorry about that, old man. And whatever she did, she kissed me, and then she apologized in the typical British manner. And so I could have said to her, instead of homely, I could have said homely. In a British manner, she would have thought to be homely. Well, homily, in meaning, quite differs from homely. Homely is not only unattractive, but homely also means, it means cozy and friendly and benevolent. But homily means a lecture, a discourse on a religious or a moral theme. And this is not any moral theme.